and W29ABX 107.5 FM, Winterville, North Carolina, WNOS 1450 AM, and W272EK 102.3 FM, licensed to Newbern, North Carolina. News, information, community awareness, education. The Mary Perkins-Williams Show.
Good morning, radio audience. How are you today? This is a great day. It's beautiful. We might get some more rain, which is wonderful because the Tar River is drying up. And it's great for the flowers. It's great for the crops. It is great for the vegetables. Today, I want to share, I don't have a guest today, but I will next week. Next week, we are going to talk about weather. What it was, what it is, and what's in the bone of someone who used to do it every day for the job. So you can stay tuned next week for a talk about the weather because the weather has changed and the weather is different here in Pitt County. Today, I wrote on my sheet that I will talk about society, Pitt County, and the experiences is in Pitt County. I just returned from a training educational conference as the county commissioner here in New Orleans, which is a very different place from Pitt County. It has some likeness of ours in that they are prone to weather events. And while I was there, just before leaving, there was an announcement made that a hurricane is heading in our direction. And it was coming up the Gulf. The Gulf meaning around the tip or that thumb that sticks out from Florida into the water area and along the coastal plains between Florida and Texas, because Texas sort of protrudes out a little bit. So we had to make a decision about if we could get a flight out or if we can change or if we have to tussle through what happens when people live in one place and is there for another place. So today I thought I'd talk about keeping up with society. And a lot of times I do talk with, and of course I do, because I think a lot of people who have retired is giving up access to wonderful knowledge. Our seniors once worked in various jobs, and they have experiences of many different aspects of life, and we don't have access to that knowledge. And it doesn't matter what church you went to, doesn't matter what your culture is, it doesn't matter whatever. You have experience that you could share with those who have not had it. And so that's what I want to talk about today. I want to encourage you to not just sit in your house and wait for Mother Nature to come along and take you to that place that you've never been, but come out, volunteer, share your knowledge, share your worth, and share what you can share with those who are out trying to make a way for our society and progress and do better. So today I'm going to talk some common sense stuff, and I would like very much for you to call in. And the number to call, whenever you want to, call in at any time in this show today. I'm on the radio at 10, as you can see. That's when I came on, and it's 4 minutes after, according to this social media in front of me, laptop. And call Awesome Radio, which is the media source that we have here in Pitt County, owned by an African American female. And this is the first time I've known an African American female to have um, the desire to own a media source and share it with the the geographics known as Pitt County, the Pitt County, and everything therein, and sometimes beyond the boundaries of Pitt County. Pitt County is, to me, one of the best things to talk about. Is it's shaped like an ice cream cone, and that's a positive way of describing my home. It's shaped. There is a little head at the top, and then of course it has a body and a sort of a protrusion at the lower end of it that can be a flat ice cream cone. You know, some ice cream cone have points like a triangle, and some are square. I've seen those, and then there are some round ice cream cone, and they come in more than one flavor. So that's when you talk about how would you describe your home, where you live, and that's Pitt County today. This is how I describe it to people who ask me, what is Pitt County and how does it look like? And I find something positive to say about my home because this is my home, a place where I was born and I couldn't leave because my mother was in the stage that you call the change of life, and here I come. Came along in 2006, I mean 1906, and my father was 1903. So I came along unbeknownst to them and caught them at the right time, and I'm called a change of life baby. So you who are aging and you who have completed how much of your time you're giving to society by working and supporting society, then this is the way it is in America. And right now in America, we are going through. Some of it we know, some of it we don't know, and some of it we wonder where in the world it came from. Some it came from where they were born and ended up here, and they are making it their life. And some are fearing to go back to a life that they no longer know. So I want you to call 252 756 2008. Now, if I talk about the people in Pitt County and how I would explain Pitt County to someone who's not been here, I would say Pitt County is a multicultural uh, uh, place, a geographics, a land, a society, a collection of more than one cultural people. Pitt County consists of almost every group in the world. We are international. If you look, we have, if you look in Google and you say restaurants in Pitt County, and I talked about the various restaurants that I saw one day in Glimpse, which is a local publication here in Pitt County, and it's free. You find it in all of the businesses around in Pitt County, and I know you can see me waving my hand up here if you're on social media. Facebook, Awesome Radio is dynamite. It is. It is dynamite. Multicultural and multi-plural in media sources. So Pitt County is a result of being an open society and accepting growth and development. That's the way I would describe Pitt County. Now, I don't like everything in Pitt County. And You don't like everything in Pitt County. I don't speak every language in Pitt County, and you don't speak every language in Pitt County. And somewhere back in the day, I had a program in uh, 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 by with an African, and we had started out talking about Africa as the motherland, and eventually I went to a place of we talked about the various countries in Africa, but I started talking also about the schools. Schools will be starting. We have two kinds of schools. We have secondary schools, which consist of primary, um, no, let's start out with the beginning. Daycare, that's a school, because if it's good, it's going to teach a little something. Daycare, and then um, childhood, such as uh, primary, and then intermediate, which is between elementary and high school. That's junior high, sort of like secondary, which is high school. And then we have, once you graduated, you can go to Pitt Community, which is a technical institution of learning. And from there, you can go to academic. So Pitt County has a very strong source of learning from birth to the grave. From birth to the grave. We are born to live, make a good life, and then the good Lord takes us and we go on to the grave and grow for others. In that view, I'm viewing what we talked about. I talked about uh, living legends. That was during the elementary school. And I talked about, I was thumbing through my notebook because I don't try to stress myself in trying to retain everything I'm involved with. I asked Hannah Butler to come, and she deals with global languages in Pitt County schools. And Pitt County schools has a number of languages in it. And when I had Miss Hannah Butler, and there may be another person now, because Pitt County School changes from one to next, and we age out, we grow out. From Pitt County Schools deals from kindergarten to 12th grade, and global languages, meaning languages from every parts of the world. Pitt County has mostly a number of languages and schools, 200 and plus languages that our teachers have to deal with. And in that conversation, as we get ready for schools to open again, we talked about the school types and what is here in Pitt County. Pitt County has opportunity for any number of things. The school types was pre-K, which is before kindergarten, and that's an educational center. Elementary school, which is K through 5th grade. And there are 16 of those. Virtual schools, which you can use in virtual, that meaning you can go to school, you're not able to leave your bed, and you can get an education while in your bed and not able to move. And then K through 8 schools, and there are 6 of those, and middle school, which is 6th to 8th grade, and there's 7 of those, and the traditional high school, which is from 9 until 12, and there are 6 of those. Early college high school is a little bit more than that, where you're able to learn an associate degree while getting your high school education. And I talked about various highlights in those schools. And this is what made me bring on the languages. how does the school address the languages in Pitt County? So had a conversation at that time with the superintendent, and I picked up some information, and I educated myself about the schools. There are more than 38 now, because we don't count the private schools, which is considered, I can't think of the name of them, but they are charter schools. Charter schools. It came up, popped up, had a little help too. Charter schools. And charter schools are private schools that people have education on, but you have to pay money to go to that school. And when you pay money, then the state of North Carolina give the money to the charter school that will be in the public school to educate your child. Not that I agree with it, because taxes pays for the charter schools. So there are a lot of things happening in Pitt County, and Pitt County is one of the largest land masses of government in eastern North Carolina. And what do I call eastern North Carolina? I call eastern North Carolina the area east of I-95. And the reason I use 95 as a guiding line is because 95 begins with mile 1 in Florida. And it goes all the way through the United States up to the northern part of the United States, Rhode Island. And that's where we change from United States to Canada, because you go through Canada, and the road keep going now, but it's another state. So east of 95 in the United States is what we were talking about. And that gives you a line as to how it happens. And you have a lot of things going on and a lot of culture here. The statistics for a place changes continuously. Now, if you notice, this sounds like a teaching moment or a teaching opportunity for me to share with you and prepare you what we will be talking about, because school is about to open. ECU is already asking its professional staff to come in, get together, talk, make your plans, get yourself ready to receive the students from to attend East Carolina University. The students are already coming. The parents are coming because they got to leave their job, drive them here, or let them drive themselves, and they find a place to live. So this is why we have a lot of rental properties, and you try to look for the best that you can spend the least on so that you can live. So this is what I'm trying to get you ready for. This year, even the tax dollar, opportunity is changed in Pitt County. You received a letter for your taxes telling how much you are to pay. And because we are in the known society of having trying to accept AI, artificial intelligence, that thing we call the computer, and the satellite. I'm getting a signal that the first part of this show is almost over, and it's 44 seconds. So I will continue this when we come back. You are listening to Awesome Radio Network, 1570 on the AM dial. Call your friends, and 107.5 on the me continuing this educational preparation for the next educational sessions of schools and our life in society of Pitt County, North Carolina. Stay tuned. 252-3.
Do you have documents that need to be notarized?
Good, cut it
We
out, 'cause
provide
I'm about to
notary
say the wrong one.
services
Give
by
me my-
appointment 252-756-3137.
Hello, this is C. Say Brown. Thank you for listening to the Awesome Radio Network.
Awesome radio. Yeah, it's awesome. Awesome. Can you feel it? Awesome. Awesome.
News, information, community awareness, education. The Mary Perkins-Williams Show.
Oh, I'm back. And I'm sharing with you the real aspect of Pitt County and Pitt County life. So we're getting ready for school. And right here, I talk about calendars. And the calendar that I attended last night was the town of Bethel. We have districts. Pitt County has districts. We have 9 districts for the government of Pitt County. And the chief government of Pitt County is Pitt County government. And that consists of 10 municipalities and 9 county commissioners. And each municipality has its own focus. These municipalities are incorporated areas of the area. That means the cities, the counties, the townships, and the villages. And they are incorporated. Now, we have other areas that are not incorporated, and they are called townships, meaning that they've not made the process to become the real town or the real village that can accept taxes for the area and grow to be a specified town. So last night, I was in the town of Bethel at the Bethel Town Hall. That was August the 4th, and the meeting starts at 6 p.m. They meet the first Tuesday in the month. So I hadn't been in a while, and I've gone to New Orleans, so I received a notice in my computer that Bethel Town Hall meeting, my calendar. I said I had kept it. I jumped in my car, already ready to go, and I drove to Bethel. And usually, once upon a time, when I walked in the door, I had my choice of any seat I wanted to sit in. But when I got there, maybe 2 or 3 minutes before the meeting started, I had to hunt for a seat. So pretty soon, Bethel either going to have to open its walls and have more space for the residents to attend the meetings or get a new building. They have more land in the back so that they can open up their township. And people went in, buzzing, hey, how you doing, hugging, talking. And I sat next to a lady that I know, and I'm not the best at names. So I sat right next to her, and I said, how you doing today? She said, good to see you. She didn't look like me, and I didn't look like her, but we both had short hair. Hers was blonde, and mine was a wig. See, that's real. I have some hair under there. But here's what I want to say to you. I'm not talking about myself today. I'm talking about the society of Pitt County. And I wrote it on my little sheet. What do you do to keep in touch with life here in Pitt County? Do you sit at home and do nothing, or do you just lean and let everybody do and play the lazy game of not doing anything. What do you do regularly to keep in touch with life here in Pitt County? That's what it is. So yesterday, I need to keep up with the life in Bethel, so I went to Bethel. The mayor called a meeting to order. There was an invocation. There was a pledge of allegiance, and that's part of your schooling. Every child should know the Pledge of Allegiance. That's the Pledge of the Allegiance to the United States, because in the United States we are under the government of the United States, and the allegiance is to our Constitution of the United States. Then he went on to approve. He asked the board members in Bethel to look at it. Is anything in it that may have a conflict with you and cause an ethic concern? They'll point it out. There was none, and they approved the agenda. From that, they went to the consent agenda. These are things that you can just don't have to discuss. It was things that was already talked about. So this is basically how any meeting of government goes. So they approved the meetings, and then there was a place at the beginning of the meeting for the public to make conversation, and they're getting a certain amount of time and to talk about the residents, to talk about the town board, and any matter that they want to bring up that they want the town government to consider at a point. Now, we have 4 minutes in this thing, and I'm telling you how a calendar works for a governmental town. That's a part of the Bethel Town Society. From that, they had signed the meeting, and they were given 5 minutes to talk about that topic that any resident of the town of Bethel wanted to give. I had gone, I didn't sign in. I just wanted to be there and to hear the comments of the Bethel residents and the town of Bethel governing body, commissioners. From that, they went to public hearing. There was a 26 community development block application that the mayor entertained, and that came from the governing body. Presentations. The strategic economic development plan was done by Sharon Smith, who is out of the North Carolina Department of Commerce planning group. And that was Sharon Smith who presented the strategic plan for Bethel. From there was the old business that Bethel had, and then the new business. I'm trying to get through it all so you'll know how a calendar in Bethel works. And from new business, they had all kinds of things like the law enforcement, the town of Bethel, schedule modifications, local agreement between Bethel and Pitt County talking about the flooding and the damage, and then the garbage pickup. They talked about a firm for professional engineering so they can be prepared for things that happen, and then roads closures, what roads or streets in Bethel going to be closed. And they talked about the budget and finance of Bethel, and I have 2 minutes. And they talked about every department in the town of Bethel made a report, including the interim manager and fire department and the public works and the town attorney. And then there was a closed session. The closed session, they cleared the audience, and we all left for the night before the meeting adjourned by the town. And that's how the calendar goes for most of your governmental bodies here in Pitt County. So Bethel residents turned out last night. I didn't see but 2 empty seats, and that was the one next to me and one behind. So Bethel residents are keeping up with what happened, and they should, because when I drove in, I passed a subdivision that had new homes built. Looked like about 7 2-story homes, beautiful homes. that people could purchase or buy for their residence. And then as I kept driving down Main Street, there used to be some blank lots. And there was 2 more new homes in the process of being built. So Bethel is moving forward, growing and developed, and it is a lovely place, is growing, and life is coming up. It's just like a plant. When you drop that seed, and pretty soon you know that seed is life because you see something green popping out of the ground. So this is what growth does for a development town. And when you come back, I'm going to tell you what number to call. 252-756-2008. And for those of you who don't have it, 252-756-2008. You can call in and talk about what do you do regularly to keep in touch with your society.
Coming to Greenville, God has something to say. Revival from Monday, August 3rd through Friday, August 7th, 7:30 each night. Hosted by Apostle Mary Mahone, along with education. The Mary Perkins-Williams Show.
We're back. Welcome, welcome, welcome. The number to call if you want to share with us as to what you do regular to keep in touch with the life that you live here in the Pitt County Society. Most of the time, after we go through school, we were talking about the schools opening up soon and that people are coming in from out of town. So those of you who are not good of knowing the streets have changed, you need to have done it by now, because ECU is bringing in more than 40,000 new residents to be living during the academical section of education. And the school buses will be out, and parents will be driving their children to school and going to work. So we are getting ready to burst out of a scenes right here in Pitt County. This is a good thing. Children need the education, parents need an education, and folks need to go to work. But those of you who are retired, you prepared yourself that you don't have to go to work, but you should be doing something. And that's what I'm wanting to know today. What do you do for the society that you live in, that you do on a regular basis, that keeps you in touch with where you live? Because right now, this country is working on its society throughout, because elections have started. Last December 19th, I had to file according to the calendar. If I hadn't completed those things that residents wanted me to do, I had to file to run again so that I would be in a position to assist the residents for getting the services they want in their area by the local government, which is Pitt County throughout. And this is what happened. And then on February the 12th, we had to start running, so we didn't have much time for to build the committee for the position. So you had to know some people and know what you needed to do so that people would vote for you. So this is what's happening in the United States today. You should be paying attention because in Pitt County, we will start, we should be looking at people that we're going to elect to send to Washington, D.C., which is the seat of the leadership area governmental entity for the United States. Pitt County has a government leadership area. This Greenville is the county seat of Pitt County. Didn't say Greenville leaves Pitt County. Greenville is the county seat. In other words, the government body is here in Pitt County. Now, this is an educational lessons that I'm talking today. So there are a lot of people in Pitt County who have retired. They have worked more than 25 years on a job, and they have an expertise that they can share, and they should be sharing that expertise in some form or another by volunteering at a school, volunteering at church, assisting the pastor with something, being involved to keep your mind on a positive way of great morals and understanding so that we can have a good society of dealing with one another, practicing positive action and doing positive things that we don't have to have a policeman on every corner. So this is what we should be doing if we are retired. I am retired. I retired from East Carolina University in 1998, and I went to work. I had moved temporarily to Wake County, and I had worked a short period of time in Wake County at a private school known as St. Augustine College. And from that, the flood came, and it brought me back home to take care of my inheritance, the land that I inherited, and the property that I became stewardship of, left by my family for the family to grow and develop and build on. Things don't always work out the way we planned. The flood came, and next week we're going to talk about the weather and its impact on us, because right now we are coming out of a drought. And what's a drought? It's where the land needed water and the water didn't come. We don't control it. The water comes out of the sky. There was some, now my parents, I'm getting into my parents. There were some rockets that were shot up. Rockets were shot up, it went up in the sky. They even went to the edge of the atmosphere and turned around and came back because there was some joyriders on there. Gail from Today's Show was on it. And so they went up there and come back, and then now we're having rain. The rain came while they were there, but we didn't get enough to fill up the water banks. So now we're getting rain. I remember when Al Gore was was running for the president of the United States, and he was talking about climate change. Al Gore was a climate change candidate, and have been as one of the people who worked for research and educational development at Joyner Library. Al Gore's candidacy uh, became of interest to me. Climate change. So I did reference services, and I started paying attention to the scientific books that talked about weather and health and the New England Journal of Health, and some of that was there. So I learned that how on earth you can detect the change in the atmosphere. And so in the news, this is how I started looking at the news very rigidly. The ice began to melt in the northern hemisphere, which is in the cold part up beyond Africa. That's where there was glaciers. That's ice frozen from the top above the water all the way down in the water. Ice cube was in there, and they are called glaciers. The glacier began to melt, and the ice began to crumble. And it told me in common sense that something was happening to and with Mother Nature. So it became of interest. So in next week, we'll talk about the weather and the weather changes and the ice, and we'll talk about the experience of a weatherman. And he's going to come and share with me. He's been here before. But what you should be doing, you didn't have that interest. If you were teaching and you were busy making out your, then there are opportunities in the school system for you to share some of that good knowledge that you have with the daycare. You can share that good knowledge that you have with charter schools. You can share that good knowledge which you have with your church and build a daycare, because society works on uses a part of the church school with, you think about it, the 10 Commandments. If you steal, you can go to jail. That's society. If you kill, you can go to jail for the rest of your life. If you fight and cut somebody, you hurt somebody. So you got to go to the medical. You got to do some things. So I don't see why we have left the church school out of our society, and we don't tend, and we are Christians or something, or some form of religious that carries us. Now, I'm not here to preach, but I am here to talk about doing something active with your life that can help the positive well-being of mankind as we live here on earth. And the church school is a part of it. But most churches now, regardless, there are very few children in church school. And when I'm talking about church school, I'm talking about Sunday school, where they get the baptized, where they get the commandments of life that was delivered by Moses from God, where we learn how to love beneficially and learn that by not loving, we grow hate, and that Lucifer is in the Bible, as well as Jesus is in the Bible, and as well as the Muslims and the Catholics and everything else is in the Bible. And there are other books of religious being that exist in our community of society. Oh my goodness, what am I getting into today? Moving forward, you should be doing something with that life that you had one day. You should be doing positive with that life that you had back in the day. If you didn't go to college, you know how to grow a decent garden. If you live in the country, you walked out and you looked at the yard long enough to find out where the sun shines or where the shade is. And you can sit in the shade without the sun being shining, and you'll know where when the sun comes out, what area in your yard will be shaded, and it won't be shining on your head and sun because you have diabetes or some other form that is impeded of your life through the sun. Now, education is a way of handling you when you have an education. Lack of education is something that you've done that you keep to yourself and you don't feel like sharing it. And it doesn't have to be education by books. It can be education by experience. I've never built a house other than a mud house. I've never built anything other than a stick house. I dressed my doll baby. I learned how to cook using water and mud, playing in the sand. And that is a growth of learning because that mud cake didn't take a shape if I used too much water. You understand? So every aspect of life is a learning experience that you can share with life. What do you do on a regular basis to keep in touch with life? The number to call is 252-756-2008. Now, when I first started this show, there used to be a gentleman who called, and he was 94. He had a wife, and he called her his bride. And they had been married more than 40 years. And he still called her his bride. Some of us can't have a bride or a honey bun longer than 34 days. No, let's talk about 34 years or 40 years. But he had enough respect for that bride, for giving her, to give her the pleasure of knowing that he still see her as his bride. He had enough feelings for her to say, my bride. And he told everybody on this station, my bride of 40 years. Now, my goodness, they're getting ready to go to 60 years of bridehood. And it's still there. And it makes you wonder, what about relationships in life that make you feel good enough for another life to say, honey, I love you because you are still my bride? Now, that's something to think about, isn't it? And this, I'm not preaching. I'm just being realistic. What do you do? You're listening to me. I know you are. Don't be shy. What do you do on a regular basis to keep in touch with life? What do I do? Well, when I was going around in the neighborhood, because our county commissioner said he was going to retire. He was farming. He wasn't going to retire from farming. He was going to retire from being a county commissioner. And as I went around talking in my neighborhood, said, y'all, he said he's going to retire. We've been electing him. We done elected him for 30 years or more. 30 years or more we elected him, and we didn't have anything changed about it. And we saw a lot of changes. So they said, I don't know why you running around. You retired. I said, but I'm getting ready to move. I'm getting ready to move to so I can have a different life. I wanted to move to a city life. I had already moved my house. I picked up another home. I didn't move the house, but I'd already purchased another home in Wake County. So I was trying to make my way pitty-patty on out of here, but yet not so far away that I could come back to see about the land that I was paying taxes on, that my parents had given their life to. So they talked me into becoming a county commissioner. They said, you've been on the school board, served on the school board already. I said, yep. And you did some good things while you were on the school board. They didn't close that school down in Stokes. You felt love and kindness for them people in Stokes that you fought, you went, you gave your best conversation. And so the school system and the county commissioner and that county commissioner that you talked to, the two of you got together and you kept the school in Stokes. And I said, yep, I did. I did do that, didn't I? I said, because it was too early in the morning for these parents who worked in, I don't have but 2 more minutes, so I got to stop. I got to stop this because my time is almost over on this radio station. And I want you to think about it because when my guest comes next week, he's going to talk about the weather and how it's changing. And that weather is going to impact these parents who got to get up early in the morning and get the children ready for school. And these children who are in college got to get up and stop sleeping and get themselves ready to go to class. And these parents who still are working have to get up time enough to get everybody out of the house so they can get to school to greet the children who are going to go to school. Now, that's doing things for life right here in Pitt County and doing the best you can for that life so we can develop a new life to do good, to pay those taxes. And next time, I'm going to talk about 2 things. What came in your tax plan. You get your tax plan, and I'll tell you what's in it. And then he's going to talk about the weather and how that's going to impact you on your life and what you do on a regular basis. This is 101.570 on the AM dial and 107.5 on the FM dial. Awesome Radio Network has stations in New Bern, Rocky Mount, Winterville, all around here. You can pick us up in Bethel, Farmville, and Greene County. Ooh, Awesome Radio, a minority station by a woman.